One moment, Your Worship. You're live, Your Worship.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, Council. I'd like to call this regular council meeting of April 11th, 2023 to order with adoption of the agenda. Someone want to make that motion for me? Councilor Stapheners, seconded by Councilor Orlando. All in favor? Motion carried. Adoption of the minutes of the special council meeting of April 4th. Someone want to make that motion? Councilor Cherry, seconded by Councilor Devlin. All in favor? Motion's carried. Any business arising from the regular council meeting of March 28th? Seeing none, any business arising from the special council meeting of April 4th? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to announcements from the mayor. So this week, we are pleased to say the Cyclone Taylor Cup will be played here in Revelstoke, April 13th through the finals on the 16th. So excited for that and excited that we get to have that here in Revelstoke. Also want to announce, and most of you have heard, council presented $100,000 to the Revelstoke Community Housing Society this past week for their housing initiatives, and glad that our staff and council could make that come to fruition for them as they move forward. And also, as we move on, this week we're seeing street sweeping and our staff out on the sidewalks and streets. So just encourage everyone to give them space to work, and happy to see the dust being cut down as we move forward. So today we have a delegation, Revelstoke Chamber of Commerce. Carolyn and Layla are here. So ladies, I'll turn it over to you.
Please educate us on what we do or where we go with this.
You want to come up to the podium, Carolyn, if you don't mind?
You can come with me if you want, yeah? Or I can call you up if you want. Okay. Do we have a slideshow?
And just messaging Jolene to see if she can share her screen.
No worries.
Where's this picture, the first slide?
I have absolutely no idea, Tim.
Right.
It comes from the Tourism Revelstoke
Right,
photo bucket,
okay. Good.
which we don't have anymore because it was a member-to-member benefit.
Right,
So we're in the process of redoing a photo bucket that the chamber would own.
right.
There's some marketing that'll come to light, which should be quite helpful for all the businesses so that it can't get pulled away. It's a long story. That's my filler time. Yes. One of the reasons why I didn't want to do a big marketing thing with these honorary memberships as well is just to really let you know that we appreciate you, like face to face, between our relationship with the chamber and the city. It's quite important to us. You can go to the third page if you want. Perfect. Oh. Can't see. Can you move your ball a little bit? I'm sorry. Perfect. Okay. I'll just go up one, please and thank you. Yeah, that's great. We can start there. So in 2022, we ended with over 360 members. Our membership showcases the diversity of sectors, new enthusiasm, and a lot of new businesses in Revelstoke. I'm personally really excited to report on 2022 as it gives me great insight on where the chamber has been and how I can support our growth in 2023 and going forward. As you know, 2022 was a year of transition for the chamber, with the pandemic seeming to be in our rearview mirrors rather than on our windshields. We navigated changes in our staffing with our previous executive director, Stacy, leaving her position in June. So we had no executive director until January 16th when I came on board. A half a year with the Chamber of Commerce without their main only full-time manager employee is a tough one to navigate. We can go down to the where we're going slide. So we've worked incredibly hard over the past year, focusing on setting up our organization for success so that we can deeply focus on our members. We want it to be bold and show that we're here for our members and make it easier to cut through the red tape. That's why that's why our core services include advocacy, education and resources, networking events, and member benefits. Our chamber has subscribed to the BC Chamber of Commerce's highest membership tier. So there's now tiers with BC Chamber of Commerce. Revelstoke is one of 18 chambers in British Columbia that has 13 chambers that has this higher tier. This investment allows us more direct access to provincial and federal cabinet ministers so that we can ask the tough questions and bring forward our own proposed solutions. Moving ahead into 2023, a major goal of ours is to align ourselves with more closely with all the organizations that are also working on the vision of the best Revelstoke possible. We call these our working partners, to which the city is included in that. Strategic plan, so the next slide. So our organizational goals are focused on strengthening our relationships with our partners and developing long-term financial plans to position ourselves to be effective and successful. So through that organizational excellence, membership support, member engagement, and value. Next slide. Thanks, Jillian. The chamber has 3 different subcommittees currently. Our governance committee, our advocacy committee, and our finance committee. In 2023, we'll grow these committees with volunteer help. Really helping our membership be able to take some accountability as well for some of the things that they'd like to see. In our next slide, you're actually there, how we reach the community. So our board members are all hard at work. As you know, the chamber has board members that are all business owners in the community. And a number of them sit on many other chamber appointed seats throughout the community. I don't know if you can make that a little bit bigger, but you can see some of these committees that we sit on. Our team, so as you know, we had changes in new management, so new executive director. We also had Guylaine, the visitor experience manager, leave recently, where we have Layla, who will be presenting, the new visitor experience manager. We have Nicole, who is actually officially starting today as the visitor experience coordinator. You'll know her in the community. She's very well known and a very strong leader that will help us in these changes. So I think you can go down a little bit. Next slide. Yeah, a little bit more. Perfect. So that's our new team, our board of directors that was elected at the AGM. Thank you, Mayor Soltz, for coming to that. We're on slide 11 now. How we fund our operations. Is everyone here familiar with how the chamber funds its operations in Revelstoke?
Give us an overview.
Okay, perfect. So we have membership dues, which we will be looking at potentially updating. We froze our membership dues in 2022 for the 7th year in a row. In 2023, we did put them up. We have the Business Excellence Awards, which is a non-dues revenue source. In 2022, we grossed $18,000. So we made $18,000, which was $8,000 more than the previous year. So we're moving forward with our events. The Banff Mountain Film Festival that was held in May of 2022 that sold 650 tickets. I'm happy to say that in 2023, we actually doubled the income that we made from that. So our fundraisers are moving forwards and we're creating a lot of non-dues revenue that way. We fund our operations as well with our health benefit packages and a lot of other membership member-to-member benefits that we have commission or administrative fees that come back to the chamber or in other ways like that with sponsoring. Slide 12, so agreements. So our offerings could not be nearly as expansive without the funding agreements we have in place. So keeping in mind that the chamber manages and managed in 2022 the visitor services. These funds are for specific operational tasks that you can see on the screen. Thank you to the City of Revelstoke, as well as Tourism Revelstoke, Community Economic Development, part of City of Revelstoke, and Community Futures for their ongoing financial support. The Chamber has deep roots with these partners that I believe can only continue to flourish in the coming years. Slide 13. So what we did in 2022, it's up to the board to define the key priorities of our organization. This was done with our strategic plan that we talked about earlier. Our renewed key priorities now being represented as our 4 chamber pillars, which you can see on the screen. So in 2022, advocacy, the majority of the work that our chamber was doing in 2022 was foundational. Our federal, provincial, regional, and municipal outreach supporting members with letters of support. In 2022, slide 15, so this is a Kootenay boundary pilot project. So rural chambers need some help these days as the work is often shouldered by one staff member. We've been working on a model with 20 other regional chambers in the Kootenays to explore how to support succession, ease the burden for onboarding EDs, and share between chambers the assets that already exist so that we can benefit from each other's work. This is a pilot project that we are currently looking at called the Kootenay Boundary Regional Coordinator for the Chambers of Commerce. So slide 16. Thank you so much. So in 2022, you'll see on the screen the different networking events that were held. The Ambassador Program, Let's Talk Housing, Annual General Meeting, Staff Shortage and Solutions, and many more. Slide 17, 2022 Education and Resources. Our networking events feed into our pillars and how we communicate some of our educational and resource opportunities. One of the examples that finished in 2022 that was very successful, and I think everyone at this table here would agree, would be the Business Outreach Program. That was in ETSI BC funding that the chamber secured. The chamber was the applicant. However, this was done hand in hand with Community Futures. So I would not say that this is a Chamber of Commerce project. This is a Chamber and Community Futures project with the help of CED. So you're involved in that as well. And we really appreciate that. Our member benefits, so slide 18, you can see here examples of the direct benefits to members in terms of saving with other businesses. So slide 19, so the future. So this is where I come in as your new ED and what I feel things are looking like. So I've referred to 2023 as a year of connection at the Chamber in my communications, and I plan on carrying this theme through to the end of the year. The Chamber of Commerce is a hub for business connection in Revelstoke. But just what does this mean? Like, we have our pillars and what are we going to do with them? First, we start with communication. You'll be hearing a lot more from us as we strive to share with you what we're working on with transparency, which is very key. This is how we learn. When we're transparent, we're able to ask questions, you're able to help us, our other business partners can help us, and we can reach better goals as a community. Some of you may have heard me on Stoke FM speaking with Larrett. We now have a standing monthly spot on our local radio channel. Our social medias and newsletter are getting an overhaul to ensure further connection through communication. I invite you to approach me with any ideas you have at any time. So what's going on in 2023? In our advocacy pillars, so this is slide 20. Thank you so much. We're looking at commercial recycling, disability inclusion, immigration. So that would look like the Temporary Foreign Workers Program. Last week, I went and met with a federal minister of tourism to talk about this. Housing in Revelstoke, and much more. We want to be a part of the connection and statistics sharing and overall communication for advocacy in Revelstoke. Slide 21, education resources. So we've launched an educational series that will be live on our website. From now on, whenever we have a luncheon, it will be followed by a two-part series. So if we're doing a luncheon on marketing, there's a two-part series that follows it. Anyone who is a chamber member can attend those, City Council, for your businesses or whatever you'd like. And there's going to be things like accounting and temporary foreign workers and immigration, all kinds of subjects that are like this. All of our funding that we push through our membership now has webinars with the administrators so that members are able to actually ask questions directly to the administrators. It cuts a lot of the red tape from just trying to figure out how to apply for funding. And we are pooling our resources currently on the good old Google Cloud, but we are pushing to get a CRM this year to which all members, honorary members, nonprofits that are members with the Chamber of Commerce would have access to a back-end CRM to be able to have lots of information for education and resources. I believe this will be a huge catalyst in the increased membership of the Chamber of Commerce in 2023 and 2024. Slide 22. So communicating our benefits, obviously everything I just talked about is a benefit to a Chamber of Commerce member. So in new ways, so open houses, recorded webinars, and better member onboarding, better communication with the city of Revelstoke for us to be able to convey concise and proper information to our membership. So not speculation of how things work, but this is how we can help you to getting access to this information. If the city is doing something, we want to make sure that we are communicating that with our membership. Our networking events, I want to highlight the importance of the impact that our office location has on our operational success. Sharing a building with community, economic development, community futures, and tourism Revelstoke allows us to create group events that put our members front and center with some of the most supportive organizations in Revelstoke. What a pilot project that building is for any municipality to be able to achieve so many more things, putting those 4 entities under one roof. I'd like to thank you. So slide 24 just says thank you. Thank you to council members for coming to our events. Thank you for being present. Thank you for answering my many questions to the staff of the city of Revelstoke about commercial taxes and many other subjects that I brought forward. I'm really happy that we have such strong relationship with the city. I hope that the chamber will be invited to continue to be a part of the conversation with the city of Revelstoke. And I'm really hoping that we can work together to increase our optics with residents of this great community, not only as a Chamber of Commerce, but as the city of Revelstoke as well, and the efforts that we do together.
Okay.
Any questions? I forgot my budget in my office, so
Councilor
don't ask me.
Thank you, Marcel. I was just wondering how many people did the ambassador program this year?
Oh, that's. Sorry. So I should say any visitor experience or visitor center or visitor service questions are coming up with Layla.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm just the boring old chamber side of the Chamber of Commerce. Yes. All right. You know that we are transitioning. So Tourism Revelstoke will be taking over on January 1st, 2024, the visitor services. And then it will be myself and Tess together. We'll have so much more time to come see you.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Carolyn, so much for the presentation. Just a comment, the city has is going to hire a communications staff person this year. So that just to add to your comment to increase communication and collaboration, that will increase our ability to have those beneficial communications, just because we'll have more resources to do that. So
even just the way that the newsletter has been lately has been incredibly informative and really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it really streamlined for us to be able to share communications, like even about the patios and the sandwich boards that you posted the other day. I was like, oh, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
This is really helpful.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting your communications person. Am I allowed to ask a question?
Go for it.
When do you think you'll be hiring this person?
Question.
Evan? Mr. Parliament?
I don't think we defined that. at this
Yeah.
Got it. In 2023 is what you're planning?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
lovely. Any other questions? No?
That's it.
All right, Leila,
Thank you so
slide
much.
25.
That's why I use the narrative.
Short,
A little short. Yeah. Thank you for having me today. I'm going to speak briefly about the 2022 visitor experiences and visitor services. Next slide. So the visitor experience survey generated 1,053 responses that were collected between January to December 2022. The common challenges shared with us were about transportation, affordability, various closures, early closures of facilities, and long wait times at various food venues. Next slide. I guess you can kind of see it. Visitor satisfaction trend was high with multiple positive comments and suggestions. Furthermore, Net Promoter Score is currently at 82. To view the full report, please contact myself via email. And then the Ambassador Program. The Ambassador Program was presented to the Chamber of Commerce membership as part of one of their engagement sessions in February, and the summer version was launched in May. The winter 2022 to 2023 was made available and launched in August. New to the season, ambassadors can get a refund on their ski pass following the RMR refund schedule. The program is now offered to all tourism stakeholders, employees, and not solely to the Chamber of Commerce tourism members. Furthermore, we have 2 new benefits offered, including $50 discount on resort shuttle pass and other discounts at local businesses. The winter program has been delivered to over 365 people, and over 250 benefit packages were distributed by our visitor centre team. Next slide. Print marketing. The 2022 Revelstoke Experience Guide publication arrived in February. Pre-shipping was done in locations in BC and Alberta. A total of 50,000 copies were distributed, and over 25,000 copies are distributed, including at the Australia and Toronto ski shows. The guide is available at the Visitor Centre for visitors and stakeholders, as well as online through Go Brochures. The hiking and mountain biking guide maps were updated, and the advertisement has been removed for the future, focusing efforts on visitor information and education. As a focus, we've also included sustainability and safety information to our guides. The museum and gallery guide was updated, as well as the Nordic brochure. Local deliveries were done by the visitor centre staff in January and November. Next slide. Stakeholder and partners. We attended the 2022 BC Tourism and Hospitality Conference in Richmond, the Visitor Service Conference in Kelowna. We renewed our partnership with RMR for the Ambassador Program, continued partnership with Parks Canada to further enhance visitor services in Revelstoke. Multiple stakeholder meetings were hosted during the year. Welcome Week in partnership with the City of Revelstoke. Welcome Week was brought back in person in 2022. We were allocated $10,000 through the resort funds to deliver the program. Kicking off with the Moonlight Madness, the week was full of events, including Staying Alive, Ambassador Program, drop-in and tour, fitness classes, museum admission, and much more. The event was prompted through the print and digital ads and reached over 6,500 people. Wayfinding. The visitor centre main sign on Victoria Road was refurbished. 3 information kiosks, including the city map and visitor information, have been designed and installed at different park locations. The information included the Columbia River, arts and culture, and sustainability. Phase 2 of the wayfinding strategy has been improved and is scheduled to be installed during 2023. Events. The visitor experience team have 4 tents available for local event organisers to borrow. The tents were used many times during the year. The visitor centre councillors have been creating and distributing the What's Up This Week handout. The handout is emailed weekly on Fridays to stakeholders. Grants. We successfully received the Enabling Accessibility Fund from the Government of Canada to further improve accessibility at the Visitor Centre. The funding went to install 6 automatic doors to complement the new accessible washroom facilities at the centre, including staff room and bathroom doors. The project was completed in August with minimal wall finish to be finalised in 2023. Various grants from Columbia Basin Trust and the federal government Canada Summer Jobs were successfully received for staff wage subsidy at the visitor centre. In the fall, we were granted $5,500 from the Destination British Columbia for the Indigenous Learning and Projects Grant for the Visitor Centre. We are hoping to use the funding for a training session for staff and stakeholders in June 2023. Sustainability. All print marketing will be including a sustainable information for tourism, for preservation, respect, and recognition. 2022 visitor services. So next slide. 2022 was a successful year for the Revelstoke Visitor Centre with good performance across targeted goals. We received strong positive feedback from visitors and stakeholder surveys, as well as online reviews. Our biggest success in 2022 was the increase in staff wages to a living wage. The increase was implemented to encourage more job applications, as our goal for 2022 was to onboard more staff for the summer period. In 2022, we were able to hire as planned with competent and motivated employees. We were able to do this due to the increase in successful grant-funded positions through Canada Summer Jobs and the Columbia Basin Trust Grant. Over the years, we keep improving our roaming program by attending Mount Revelstoke National Park and Revelstoke Mountain Resort on a regular basis each week. Our major challenge this past season was to decide if staff should go out roaming when the visitor center was busy in the morning hours. Furthermore, we had to cancel a few trips due to the weather, such as extreme heat, wildfire risk, and park closures. These issues affected our roaming success and took our visitation as our roaming venues were down by a lot. We hope to improve this in 2023 by ensuring proper scheduling and clarity about the roles prioritizing the roaming service. I think we can go to the next slide. At the visitor center, we extended our hours of operation during the summer season, pushing our closing time from 4:30 to 6 p.m. during peak season. This was our first extension post-pandemic, highly driven by our staffing capacity. In 2022, we saw the numbers of visitation increase from post-pandemic to similar numbers of 2019. Year over year, we saw 49,317 in 2022 compared to 22,548 in 2021. Our key target area is to grow this number by 2023 by doing this with roaming days in the national park. And then the next slide. Key goals for 2023, provide exceptional visitor services by sharing local friendliness, passion, and spirit with our visitors, reach visitors outside downtown to encourage extended stays and return visits, encourage visitors to fill out the 2023 Visitor Experience Survey, increase the visitor center roaming visitation by 3 or 5%, maintain a net promoter score above 80, increase the visitor center hours during peak season to about 7:30. Overall, 2022 was a highly successful year, and the challenges have prompted renewed goals and tactics for 2023 to elevate visitor services in Revelstoke even further. And that's it. Thank you.
So just a couple questions and then council can ask. So what are your normal hours for the visitor center? Is it like from 8:30 in the morning until?
Yeah, it's 8:30 till 4:30. Generally, in the winter, we keep it the same. In the summer, we extend it. However, due to the pandemic, the last 2 years, we weren't able to extend those hours. But typically we'll extend it in the summer to about 7:30. So this will be the first year that we're aiming for that.
Perfect, good. And then when you talk about roaming, so 1 or 2 members of your staff, are you taking the van out and where do you go?
Yeah, so we have the roaming service. You might have seen the Revelstoke van. It goes to Mount Revelstoke National Park. It is by 1 staff member. That goes daily every single day of the week. On Saturdays, however, last year we did go to RMR, where we went roaming to the national park and to the mountain resort. So there was 2 staff members. This year we are hoping to maybe go to the market to change up locations.
Sure. Good. All right, thank you. Council, any questions?
Question.
Go ahead, Councilor Stickers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quick question in regards to the visitor experience survey. I see on here that the transportation and affordability were rated at 22% and 13%. Could you touch on those maybe a little bit for us?
As I'm new to this role, I have a report that I could share with you.
Okay.
But I haven't got much experience for the previous year.
No worries. I was just hoping to maybe understand maybe a little bit more of the challenges regarding those two. But and then probably my follow-up question would be, if there are additional resources for council to use in regards to like the visitor experience survey, so we can kind of understand shortcomings that visitors are experiencing when they come to our community. That'd be beneficial to all of council. So
Yeah.
thank you. Appreciate your report.
Councilor Lucio, did you have a question from earlier?
Nope, she covered it.
She covered it all.
Great.
Councilor Lennon.
Just a quick question out of curiosity, when people say to make it better, make it dog friendly, do you have any more details? Is that like in shops and stuff, or what do they say?
It's mostly visitors are looking for a dog park, so
Okay.
somewhere that they can go off leash. Also, yes, being places that they can go eat with their dog. So patios, or I know there is like a bylaw in BC that makes it quite difficult for like international travelers or even travelers from other parts of Canada that bring their dog and they want to be able to enjoy like a food venue or go to a dog park.
Okay, so thank you.
Thanks.
Great.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time and your report.
Thanks.
Thank you both. Leila, Carolyn, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, council, we're going to move on to recommendations from committees. So Finance Committee, grant and aid. So there's a motion on the table and a list. So if someone want to make a motion for me, and we can discuss it. Councilor Lennon.
Yeah, I'm prepared to make the motion, and I move that the Finance Committee recommends to council that the 2023 grants and aid be approved as follows. And following that, there's a list of about 15, 20 grant and aid applications.
All right, second for the motion. Councilor Devlin. Any discussion on the motion or the recommendations within the motion? Councilor Lucio.
Thank you, Marshall. I was just wondering, when was the grant and aid program started with the city?
In what year?
Yes.
Ms. Moore, do you have that answer?
Through your worship, I'm not sure. I know that we've been doing this program since I was started at the city in 2017. And I believe this policy might be from 2008. I can't quite remember, but I'm not sure if it existed prior to that. So for many years, we've been doing it.
For the follow-up?
Yes, thank you. Has the funds been capped at $25,000 every year for the grant and aid program?
Ms. Moore, it's been like that for a number of years, but any comment?
Through your worship, that's correct. It's been like that for a number of years. I can't recall the last time it's been reassessed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it would be worth us considering the expansion of the grant and aid program, either because I know it's capped at $2,000 per grant. So whether that's the total amount or the total amount per grant that people can be asking for, just as we see inflation affect everybody, it's a lot of societies and not-for-profits asking for money, and I think it would be worth us considering expanding this program.
So I think we can have that discussion at Finance Committee throughout the next year to have a look at that.
Yeah.
Any other comments on the motion on the table? Seeing none, if there's no changes to the recommendations, I'll call the questions. All those in favor? Opposed? No, motion's carried. Thank you. Moving on to number 9, bylaw, utility rates, bylaw 2351. Someone want to put that motion on the table for me, please? Councilor Devlin.
Move that utility rates bylaw number 2351 be read first, second, and third time.
Seconder for that motion, please. Councilor Lucio. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I will call a question. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Number 2, Councilor Devlin, would you?
Sure. I move that amendment of the fees and charges bylaw number 2256 to remove all utility rate fees for water, sewer, and garbage be brought forward for consideration by June 30th, 2020.
Seconder for that motion, and I have a question regarding clarification. So someone want to second that for me? Councilor Lucio, just for clarification, amendment of the fees and charges bylaw to remove all utility rates. So we're just going to remove those from the fees and charges bylaw and make them our own separate entity. Is that correct, Ms. Moore?
Through your worship, that is correct. The fees and charges utility bylaw that is before council today is effective July 1st, 2023. And so at the end of June, we'll bring forward the current fees and charges bylaw to remove all utilities, and utilities will move forward in its own bylaw in future years.
Perfect, great. Appreciate that clarification. Any further discussion from council? Council Palmer?
So just a question through the chair. So will the utility bylaw is already in place? So it's already, there's kind of a double up at the moment, and then it will change on the 30th, or is there another, will it be a revision of the utility rate bylaw at that time? Just making sure I follow just on that timing.
Ms. Moore?
Sure. So the current bylaw that's active is the fees and charges bylaw that encompasses all fees and charges. It will stay active until June 30th. And in June, we will bring forward an amendment to remove the utility fees from that bylaw. And then the utility user rates bylaw in front of council today becomes effective July 1st, 2023. And then it will be its own bylaw going forward. So there will be no overlap. And the motion is just to prepare council to make that amendment as part of this adoption of this bylaw.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? No, motion's carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 9B, 5-year financial plan. Someone want to put that motion on the table for me? Councilor Lucia.
Yeah, thank you. I move that 5-year 2023 to 2027 financial plan bylaw number 2353 be read a first, second, and third time.
Seconder for the motion, please. Councilor Devlin. Any discussion on this motion? Councilor Cherry.
Just looking for clarification, as it says on my paperwork that a 3% increase in property taxes each year.
Ms. Moore, just clarification for Councilor Cherry, please.
Absolutely. So I'm just looking at the report here, and that the 3% increase in property taxes in each year says from 2024 to 2027. However, in 2023, it's that council consider the 5% tax increase. So 5% is included in this long-term financial plan bylaw.
This current year.
Correct.
Right. Follow-up, Councilor Cherry, or does that give you the answer? Good. All right. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? No, motion's carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 9C, fees and charges amendment bylaw 2355 be read a first, second, and third time. So I'll get the motion on the table, and then or would you like to do a presentation first, Mr. Simon?
Through your worship to all of council, no formal presentation from staff today. This is in response to a notice of motion that was originally brought forward from Councillor Cherry on February 14th and the follow-up discussion at the March 16th, 2023 committee of the whole. So what you see before you is a bylaw for council to decide which direction they want to move on to increase the bed and breakfast business licensing fees. The bylaw would take effect as of January 2024, so it will not impact any licenses that would be issued this year as currently drafted.
Great. All right. Thanks for clarification, Mr. Simon. So let's put the motion on the table and we can discuss this, please. Councilor Orlando.
Just making sure I'm on the right page. I move that fees and charges amendment bylaw number 2355. Am I in the right spot? Be read a first, second, and third time?
Yes, you are.
There we are. Yeah.
Second for our motion, Councilor Lucero. Discussion on the motion. So the motion is to increase these fees equivalent to the bed and breakfast fees equivalent to short-term rental fees. So $500 up from $50 plus $250 per bedroom. And so comments from council on that. I guess I'm a little concerned at the jump for the existing bed and breakfast people in the community. I know there's 30 or 40 of those. We go for $50 to 500 plus 250 per bedroom. So we may be looking at like a 700% increase. So any comments, any concerns from council regarding that? Councilor Palmer and then Councilor Staples.
Yeah, so the motion on the table is to read for a second and third time.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm probably have just a little slight uneasiness on just the speed of this as well. And I'm just wondering if it might have been better to go first and second questions. So I'm not coming with any solutions here, but
Right.
I'm wondering, have the businesses that run bed and breakfasts, have they been notified of this pending increase?
I do not believe so. Mr. Simon, answer to that?
Through your worship, no, staff have prepared the resolution and the report as per the direction received from council. Should council wish for staff to do any type of outreach, we'd be looking for that direction from council today.
Yeah, I think there might be some wisdom behind that. And then the other is possibly just have the chamber here. There might be, some good source of information. It might just prevent an unintended flare up. Yeah, some
Chamber is left already.
yeah.
Councilor Staples, you have comment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Sauls. It was part of the question that I asked the Chamber of Commerce in regards to the affordability of accommodations for visitors. If there is like a 13%, is that, 13% of our visitors are finding that it's difficult to find affordable housing or affordable accommodation? And then the other question that I have is, when I look at this bylaw, it looks like this is kind of the motion before us is to recoup some of the costs. Is that correct? That like the hours that are spent on processing applications? Or is that kind of the direction that was like, how was this perceived from your department there, Mr. Simon?
Go ahead.
So through your worship to Councilor Staples, this bylaw was prepared based on the direction that's been received by council. What you're seeing in terms of the anticipated cost breakdown provided by staff when it comes to STR and B&B enforcement is important considerations for council when they're looking at increasing fees, as these fees need to be related to service delivery and the costs that the municipality, that the city incurs as a result of processing these business license applications. And that's where it needs to be really clear, as you'll note in the report, these are not taxes to be put onto different types of businesses. These are business license fees that are intended to recoup the costs associated with administering the business license process. So that's why you're seeing a more detailed breakdown as to what that cost is. Should council today say, because the direction that staff have received thus far is council wanted these to be on par with short-term rental business license fees. If council wants to reduce them to be less than the short-term rental business license fees, that's certainly within the purview of council today.
Thank you. Further comment, Councilor Staples, I'll go to Councilor Palmer.
Two quick follow-up questions. So we have in the report initially a report of 73 short-term rentals and 48 B&B licenses that are currently in the system. So how many of these are new licenses? What's been the increase over the past year? And I'll kind of give you a little preview as to where I'm going with this is, if we're looking at a substantial increase in new applicants, perhaps the fee should be, a $500, initial application fee should be to new businesses and not to repeat businesses. As I'm sure you're well aware, I would assume that there's more paperwork and more logistics and manpower behind a new applicant as opposed to a repeat applicant, right?
Okay.
So what I would propose is, if we want to look at this fee, then you look at this fee for a new applicant as opposed to a repeat applicant, just simply because I think there's going to be less man hours involved. So that's my comment. Thank you.
So I'm going to ask a question of Ms. Floyd and Mr. Simon just about administering that. Is that an easy to do, or is that from a bylaw perspective, can we do that? And then secondly, is that easy for staff to do?
Through your worship, or to your worship, through your worship, all of council, if Ms. Floyd wants me to jump in here.
Please do.
So To answer Councillor Stapenhurst's first question, off the top of my head, I believe we've looked at about an extra 20 business licenses for short-term rental and maybe an extra 5 to 10 for bed and breakfast, but that's certainly a number that staff could get if you want to give us the time period that you're looking to see when we've had new applications come in. And with respect to the costs, certainly the front-end process in terms of staff time to look at the application, complete building and fire inspections is a component of it. And you'll see in the discussion section of the report, it does break down the anticipated costs. It's obviously hard to track on a minute by minute basis, and it does vary throughout the year. But certainly when we look at rough costs, you can see the bylaw enforcement on the back end of it is where we do incur more substantial costs. So you have $13,500 for host compliance, which monitors and tracks both legal and illegal operators to help with enforcement on both a proactive and reactive basis. We also do have research and monitoring. You can see that's 27,000 to 81,000 a year, again, depending on the amount of hours that are put in from development services staff. So that actually, it's quite a manual exercise, even with the software, to still go through and verify the addresses and to make sure that the software is as accurate as it can be. So that does take a lot of staff time, and that is still related to ensuring compliance. So that's something that happens after the application has been processed. And then as well as direct bylaw enforcement, you can see the anticipated cost about $76,000 a year. So you can see it really is a pretty back-end heavy process. So with respect to instituting a fee at the onset of the application, I would say that that might be not necessarily reflective of cost recovery. If we were to do that, it really is the back end where we incur most of the cost.
Thank you for that. You have one more follow-up.
Just one follow-up question. So on the back end, if we look at like the back end fees, wouldn't some of the back end fees be recouped through like ticketing from bylaw? And if that is the case, what have we issued in tickets and fees so far in the last year, right? For like our last 6 months would kind of be a follow-up question.
Mr. Simon, I can answer part of that, or?
Yep, through your worship to Councillor Stapener, certainly ticketing is one way for that cost can be recouped associated with illegal activities. Ms. Floyd can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe on the most recent numbers that we have, there's been 2 short-term rental tickets that have been issued so far this year in conjunction with several warnings that have gone out to non-compliant operators, with the intent being to pursue an education-based approach first and then move on to ticketing should that fail.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. Councillor Palmer, you have a question, and then I'll go to Councillor Cherry.
Yeah, so just looking at the history, so it was Councillor Cherry that brought attention to the inconsistency between bed and breakfast and the short-term rentals. They're much the same animal in many ways, and we had that dialogue. And I was just looking, so that went to the committee of the whole on March 16th. And I was just trying to remember, so the minutes say that, so the recommendation to this council was that options for adjusting the bed and breakfast license be presented. So I certainly understand where this recommendation, because that's where it was kind of heading, was towards this change, which I generally supported it. However, I don't know that we had a deep enough dive into, and these are the questions that are coming up. So there is options in the report, but we've jumped ahead to going to a bylaw. I'm prepared to possibly put an amending motion just to have first reading, so we have a little bit more time to see whether we need to do adjustments or not from that dialogue. I'm not going to do it right now, but I just wondering if we need to slow it down a little bit.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cherry, comment?
Thanks, Your Worship. To council, one of the goals of me bringing this up, well, let me know if you, sorry, 1 second. So I had a mic issue there. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So the reason I was bringing this motion up is to look more toward the cost recovery method for both admin, inspection, enforcement, and compliance of bed and breakfasts. Right now, what we're seeing in the community is a lot of, STR owners that have been operating illegally, just knocking a wall out of their suites and calling it a bed and breakfast and paying their $50 fee plus $4 because bed and breakfasts seem to be allowed in most zones. And that's not really doing us any better. What we've seen from other communities is that the more aggressive ones have matched their bed and breakfasts rates with their SDR rates. And some of them that I learned last week at the UBCM meeting, they're looking into an even increased cost recovery model for both SDRs and bed and breakfasts. A lot of the communities are talking about increasing those rates significantly compared to where they are now. So that's why I jumped this forward. Love to hear what everybody else wants to say though.
So comments around the table, just regarding rates or where we're at with the reading of the three bylaws. So, Councillor Palmer, do you want to make comment?
Councillor Devlin.
Councillor Devlin, sorry.
So I'd just like to say, I'm just sorry to the ownership protocol, right? I'd just like to say I'm generally very supportive of this. I see the wisdom in it. I understand all of Councillor Cherry's points on this, and I've agreed with them since he brought it up. I would probably also agree with Councillor Palmer in that maybe this could be slowed down and give us some time to at least communicate with the chamber and maybe some of the people who would be affected by this, rather than just kind of steamrolling it past them. I understand there'll be some pushback, probably from some of the people that were trying to prevent from doing the activity in the first place, and then also from some people who are doing it legitimately and have been for years. And maybe there's some dialogue to be had about solutions about that, but I am generally supportive of it. But I do definitely agree that perhaps adopting today would not necessarily be the wisest of plans, because it does seem a little heavy-handed, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So that's all I had to say on that.
Any other comments from Councillor Orlando?
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. I'm supportive of the direction from staff for new fees, and my rationale is basically 2 points. Number one, the report indicates that's essentially what it costs to run this program. So right now, who's paying this? Me, who doesn't own a B&B or a vacation rental. I'm covering the cost for staff to do that, so I don't think that's fair. Number two on the cost increase is, I'm sure there'll be sticker shock for a lot of people at the outset going, oh my God, this is an increase. However, what the city is trying to do now is move to a system where we get compliance with our laws and our rules. And then the end game for that is that if I have a license, an inspected place for bed and breakfast or short-term rental, it's going to be more profitable for me if we live in a regulated, or if we exist in a regulated environment where, it's not the Wild West. And that means more customers come to my place and stay here. I see, the cost of $750 or $500, in our market, that can be equivalent to a day or two, depending on the size of your place of rentals. So I think, honestly, if 2 years from now we have much better compliance and regulation on our newish rules, that I stand to profit more by having a system that provides in part for that enforcement. So, for example, the host compliance is listed and funding bylaw officers as well. So that's my thoughts.
Councillor Stapleton.
Just to Councillor Orlando's point of, he doesn't own a short-term rental or a B&B, so therefore he shouldn't pay for it. I fully agree with that, but at the same token, I mean, we look at, the multiplex arena and the hockey arena. I don't play hockey or ice skates, but I'm going to pay my taxes and cover that cost anyways. So that's one point. And then the second one being, the way that I kind of see this is legal. Like all we're really doing is we're just kind of penalizing people that are doing things legally, we're not really penalizing, like, nobody that runs an illegal bed and breakfast or illegal short-term rental is gonna be impacted by these fees because they're not paying them. You know, what I'd love to see is I'd love to see more tools for enforcement, some more aggressive ticketing, some, you know, like we have the education, which, you know, it's coming down the pipeline. But these are tools for enforcement. The licensing fees and the collections that are received from that has only impacted the people that are legally operating a business as it stands. So, you know, to that extent, I don't think it's really that, you know, I don't think it's not gonna stop people from running illegal, you know, B&Bs. So.
All right, thank you for your comment, Councillor Cherry, and I'll go back to Councillor Orlando.
If you guys wanted to go around the table first, I could jump in at the end.
All right, you're up now, carry on.
All right, I just want to let you guys know that also while at the UBCM housing conference, I had the opportunity to talk to Sarah Hicks, Chief License Inspector, and Claire Thomas, Manager of Proactive Enforcement for the City of Vancouver. And I had the opportunity to ask them why their business license fees for STRs and bed and breakfasts are so low. And they kept them historically low for the first couple of years of operating as a way to get people to buy in to not running them illegally. But they are currently looking at jumping them up significantly as well to help cover some of the costs of the programs that they're running, just as we are here. You know, so the reason I brought that up is I think that's one of the reasons why ours were historically low for so long for bed and breakfasts, with just the ability of trying to get people to buy into a license. You know, now that we have the tools to actually actively enforce, I think it's time we move towards more of a cost recovery method.
Thank you for your comment, Councillor Orlando.
Thank you, Worship. Just in response to Councillor Stapenhurst, I guess in my mind, I draw a distinction between a service like a hockey rink or, you know, sports facilities and the cost to regulate a business where somebody is individually making profit. So that's my main distinction between those two things.
And to answer Councillor Orlando's point, if I may, Your Worship, I mean, the analogies could be drawn anywhere, whether it's a, you know, hockey arena, whether it's a dog park for a non-dog park owner, whether it's, you know, I mean, it's tomatoes, so.
Okay, Councillor Plum.
Thank you, Mayor. So it seems to me we're doing two things simultaneously. We're looking at the merits of the increase and then also then also at the same time, the bylaw, whether we move it ahead and maybe overthinking it, or at least maybe me overthinking it a bit too much. I'll reiterate that I am supportive of the bylaw as it is right now. Along with Councillor Devlin and Councillor Cherry very specifically are saying that, and I believe Councillor Orlando as well. So I am supportive. And my only hesitation is that maybe we haven't communicated adequately. That'd be my main thing. I would be comfortable with us, going ahead at this point. However, it may be wiser just to slow it down and at least a newspaper ad or something going out before we go to third reading. So with that, I'll put an amending motion that it be just first and reading. Actually, I'd like to hear from other councillors before I put that motion, whether we just go to first reading, first and second, or do we just charge ahead, I guess. Sure. I'm on the edge of just slowing it down a little bit, and it's probably not a big deal between first and second reading. Yeah.
Councillor Lucian, comment?
Thank you, Mayor Sills. I am in support of this. I do feel that reading it a third time today is a little presumptuous of us, and it would be better for us to communicate out to the public what our plans are. As these fees won't change license fees this year, I don't see the need to push through for third reading at this time.
Okay, so I'm supportive of as well. I, initially concerned about the jump up in fees, but some of you have explained it well. It's going to be for those who are legitimately running their business, it will be a couple days of renting to, maybe a week of renting, depends on what they have, that sort of thing to cover these fees. So the comment, Mr. Simon has stated this bylaw would take effect January 1, 2024. So there is, if we push this through, where we did first, second, and third reading, we still have the time to educate the public. This is coming. So reading it third, we don't adopt until next meeting. Is that correct, Ms. Floyd? So basically, but there's no timeline to change anything between now and adoption. So as long as council's comfortable to go through with all three today, we adopt it next meeting. But that means if we do first, second, and third reading today, that's basically telling the community this is what the fees are going to be. So if we back it off to first and second reading, then there's chance to let the community know this is our intention. And if council wants feedback from the community before we do third reading, that's a possibility. So Councilor Cherry, you've got your hand up.
Thanks, Your Worship. If that's the rhetoric on the table, I'm fine with that. I'm just curious. The way it's written is that B&B and STR fees would be the same as follows. Do we want to keep the as follows or just say that they'll be the same? So that way, if one was ever changed, they both would be.
Any comment, Mr. Simon, regarding that wording?
Through your worship to Councilor Cherry, if you are looking at changing fees in the future, they're individually listed fees within the bylaw, so they would both need to be changed through bylaw amendment. So it doesn't, you can't have them hinge to each other unless you combine the fees within the bylaw, which is not how the bylaw is currently structured.
Okay. Councilor Plummer.
So Mayor Souls, based on what I'm hearing and on your comments about the timing of adoption and then when it actually takes effect, I'm satisfied with just proceeding.
Okay, good. Any other comments from council? Seeing none, I'll call a question on the motion as it is has been read. All those in favor? Opposed? Note, Councillor Stapenhurst is opposed. Balance of council's in favor. This motion has been passed. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Simon, for your time on that. Appreciate that. We're going to move on now to unfinished business, staff reports. Liquid Waste Management Plan Stage 3, Revision 1. Couldn't have given me a longer title, Mr. Black. Thank you. So if someone want to put this motion on the table, and then do we have a presentation?
What's the motion then?
Yeah. All right, someone want to put the motion on the table, Councillor Devlin.
I'll move the Liquid Waste Management Plan Stage 3 Revision 1 prepared by Mick Delaney dated March 15th, 2023 be adopted.
Seconder for the motion, please. Councillor Luciano. All right.
Thank you,
Mr. Black.
Worship. I do not have a formal presentation. I am available to answer any questions. This amendment was requested by the province. The original Liquid Waste Management Plan Stage 3 was adopted last year. Minor amendments were requested by the province, and at that time we were told by the province that a simple amendment would be okay and applicable. Since that time, they have come forward and said, we want you to adopt the total report and add the amendment into the document which you see in front of you. So minor changes, things that are included are schedule as to implementation of the wastewater treatment plant, which we hope to bring back to council here in the next month or so. Implementation of metering for the industrial, commercial, and institutional, which has also been discussed as part of the water master plan. So all of the tools are coming to place, all guiding us to the same location. This is one of the tools that staff needs in order to proceed. And with your blessings, we'll adopt this and get this off to the province.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Black. Yeah, Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Mayor Souls. So the questions, thank you for the report. There's a lot of the history, so it's the educational piece. Just sort of and I was looking at some of the timelines. I won't scrutinize that right now, but in essence, the province is saying they want certain things added into the report and they want this to be clean, so the whole thing is adopted as one parcel. And so without getting into the timelines, can you point us to, I was going to ask for their letter, actually, in their original letter, but I forgot. I'm just wondering what is actually changed in the words in the document?
If you look at page 100 of your agenda. Everybody there, or page 8 of the report? So the items included are dealing with our septic sewers in town, sludge management at the wastewater treatment plant. So that is how we dispose of the sludge that gets deposited at the bottom of the lagoons.
Right.
Reducing the amount of combined sewer overflows. We are a community with very few CSOs, and so this will be another easy one to achieve. I&I, so that's infiltration and inflow reduction. That is related to water coming up from the ground into our sewer system or coming from rain into the sewer system. We don't want to be treating at the plant groundwater or rainwater. And so last year, staff presented to council a report on the findings of a camera program that we did for basically the center of the community, in which we discovered that we had sections of pipe that were so old and rotten that there was no bottom in them. And so at that time, council did raise the funding for the department to initiate repair and replacement of these pipes in the amount of about $1.5 million a year. And so that is underway and was begun last year. Source control bylaws, FOG, fat, oil, grease programs. And so making sure that all commercial buildings, institutional and industrial have grease traps, and that they're managed and maintained and cleaned on a regular basis. So there's a permitting process. There's companies that do that specifically, that go and inspect. It is an additional expense to the community, as we have to send people actually out to verify these things are being done, or with software programs, we can actually get the owners to report to us and minimize the time that we have to spend outside. Wastewater reduction programs, metering, reducing capacity or usage of water, reduces the other end. And continuing to adopt a stormwater management plan. And we are underway with a stormwater master plan currently. It's on hold as I'm waiting for some information from some of the developers in the community to supplement their documentation to feed into our documentation. So those are things will be coming forward to you in the near future.
Councilor Palmer.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor Souls. And as you know, I'd love to talk about all that stuff a whole bunch. I'm not sure that our zeal for wastewater is equally shared amongst the table. So the new words are page 100. Are those the new compared to the one that was adopted?
It was clarifying these items.
So these 6 bullet points as it's written.
Yeah.
So there's not a specific commitment other than we need to address those things.
I don't believe there was a specific date that needed that these things need to be done, that they are programmed to happen.
Okay.
And that's really
So the way I read it is that there are certain topics have been highlighted for their significance.
well,
Yeah.
for example, the wastewater treatment plant is one that is huge, and
Yeah,
know
we've got that one was clear
Yeah.
from before. So what wasn't in there before is more detailed analysis as we move ahead on sludge management, combined sewer, I&I, et cetera. Is that
Correct.
And
And
so
those are
that's the new.
Correct.
That's what's new compared if I look to the old one. Okay, good. I'm satisfied with that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Anything further, Mr. Block?
no, your worship.
All right. Any comments or questions from council for Mr. Block? Councilor Orlando?
Your worship, thank you. Just a general question. I was a bit unclear from the report, and I think just because it's been in development and revision for so long, but in terms of any next stage consultation, is there much anticipated? I was a bit unclear. I think it was just because like the verb tense was from a ways back and now we're seeing a revised report. So if you could just sort of explain what's happening.
There will be some updated outreach, and that will be dealt with by the province for First Nations. As we also have our First Nations liaison working at CED, we'll be working to ensure that we get the word out too. And so that's the next step of consultation that was going on. And let me verify that is correct.
That's correct, the province will do that on the city's behalf. They have their own process, but they can't do that until they get this. Then they do outreach themselves, which we've already done through this whole process, so we don't expect really any feedback.
Sure, thank you.
Councillor Paul.
Yeah, and just for clarity, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this was a lot of work went into this, and it's good. Essentially, this is replacing the old regulatory regulations from the province. This essentially becomes the rules for how we operate our liquid waste management facilities and such.
Correct. This
And,
provides
and so
advice.
in answer to Councillor Orlando, the consultation to the public has already happened, and now this is the rules that we move ahead. Obviously, when we go into budget things, there'll be more community consultation, but there isn't more that this stage of going to stage 3, the consultation is done.
Nice.
And now it's the rules for us to move ahead.
Great.
And is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those,
It's not on the table yet.
Yeah. It's not. Actually, yeah, sure it is.
Yeah.
We read it.
I believe.
Sorry,
Yeah.
you did.
okay, I'm gonna call the question.
My apologies.
That's all right. All those in favor? Motion's carried, thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to item 11B, so then we'll put that motion on the floor, please. Councilor Lucero.
Yeah, thanks, Marshals. I move that 2 service agreements for as-needed civil construction be awarded to Jake J Construction Ltd. and General Assembly Excavation Ltd.
Second for the motion, please. Councilor Stapleton-Hurst. All right, now we have the motion on the table. Lisa, you stood up and joined us, so you have a bit of a presentation.
I am very pleased what am I pleased here? I am pleased that Ms. Becker from McElhaney Consultants is here today to make a presentation on this item. I'm very excited about this opportunity. It's really going to help save us a lot of time, energy, provide us a lot more bandwidth in the office to deliver projects to the community and to make sure that council and the community get the best value product that we can deliver. And with that, I'll turn that over.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Ms. Becker?
I don't have a PowerPoint, but I'm happy to answer questions, talk through the process. Really, I'm also very excited about this opportunity because I've gotten to experience firsthand the benefits from where I live in the city of Kamloops, and I do some work for the city there. And I've been able to see how, and I hope that that's come across in the report, that they've seen huge value, and we want to bring that value here.
Good. So, Councilor Palmer.
So just first of all, I'm supportive. I kind of understand, having been in the industry a long time ago, I understand the merits behind it. And just a technical question on the motion. When I first read the motion, it makes sense, totally makes sense to me right now. When I first read it, I thought, the directors get some grammar lessons I'm just wondering on the motion that the 2 service agreements for the as-needed construction is essentially a term. And so it's maybe kind of minor, but I think it needs to be in italics or in quotation marks. And that maybe that could just be as a friendly amendment so that we know that we're talking about a term there.
It's just been amended.
Yes.
Like I struggled with that for a little while. Okay.
And so basically, the whole premise of this is you've gone out, I'm sorry, did I cut you off? You were,
No, that's good. And the as needed, that's what's different. I think that's one of the differentiating things, maybe a question, that this as needed. So now you don't have to go out to tender every single time for every little thing, go through all those processes. Now it's there and we can just basically go out for the next, it's year by year. And so we, for up to 5 years, that's how I understand it.
good.
So if it's not working, then we stop it. Yeah.
Give me axe, so what you mean?
Yeah.
Or the shovel.
Yeah.
All right, so basically you pre-qualified these people to do this work. That's the premise behind it so that you can get the work done quicker and move forward on projects. Am I correct?
That is correct. We use the NRFP process to procure or qualify the top 2 contractors of that process who were qualified. And, you know, it was very rigorous, and what they went through and what they provided to us was quite a package that we were able to review 4 different evaluators. And we were really pleased with the top 2, Jake J and General Assembly.
Awesome, great. Any other questions or comments from council? Councilor Lynn?
Your worship, thank you, your worship, and through the chair, I'm wondering how much does this system limit the city's ability to go through a standard tendering process if it so chose to? Like, it had a project where it thought it would be best to throw it out to everybody for that. So if you could explain a little bit more.
That's a great question. There is no limit. So the city, if the project comes forward that doesn't make sense within these 2 contractors, maybe their availability, maybe their experience, maybe just a preference of staff to go out separately, there is no limit to that. There is no guarantee of volume of work in these contracts, and there is no exclusivity. So an example is, let's say that the wastewater treatment facility hadn't been put out yet to the public for procurement. That would have still gone through the process that's happening now outside of this, because that's a very specific skill set and project that needed to go out separately. So no limit to that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments, Councilor Stapleton?
I just want to speak, express that I'm in favor of this. I think it's a great way of supporting a locally owned business that employs local residents. And I think it also expedites the services that we offer our citizens. Yeah, and I think it's a great way of improving the services that we offer the residents. So.
That's good. All right. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Oh, Councilor Cherry, before I call the question. Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it, your worship. Just a quick question to anybody who could answer it. Will this process will happen every year again? Or is this a one-time that can be renewed for up to 4 one-year contracts? Or is this something we'll have to do every season?
It's a great question. The process is complete, and it's meant to just do a renewal, just a signing of paperwork once a year, every year, assuming that both parties are amenable to that renewal. And so that is the idea. But if there was a situation where we wanted to add a contractor, we could go through the process again. But the idea is these two contractors would have a contract for 1 year, renewable each year, just administratively by both parties.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Councilor?
Yes, it does. And as long as we have the ability to go through the process again, or for other projects, go to the usual RFP, I'm fine with that.
All right. Any other questions from Ms. Becker? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? No, motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Becker. Mr. Black, appreciate your time. Now we're going to move on to all things sanitary with the camera. Okay. Someone want to put the motion on the table and we can ask Mr. Black some questions. Councilor Lucien.
Thanks, Marshals. I move that the CCTV sanitary inspection services be awarded to T2 Sewer Cleaning Ltd. in the amount of $140,495.
Nice round figure. Second for the motion, please. Councilor Devlin. Mr. Black, you have a presentation, or Ms. Bridge, she is here.
Ms. Bridge has a very short presentation for you, Council.
Awesome. Ms. Bridge, you're up.
Through your worship, through council, I actually don't have a presentation prepared today, but I'm available for any questions you might have.
Ask her where the maps are, showing where the project is.
Ms. Bridge, you heard what he wanted to know, because I think he's nailing the lid down on a box or something, I don't know. Any further comment to his question, whether that should be asked or not?
Yeah, I can show you some maps of what we've done so far and what we are doing in the future or hope to do in the future. So you guys can see my screen?
Yes, we can, thank you.
Okay, so as you can see in the legend, the blue areas here are what was CCTV'd last year. All the red is every single sanitary pipe we have in town. So last year we focused on the downtown area. This year we are focusing on the areas in pink, which is mainly Columbia Park, as all this area was seen to have presumably potentially problem pipes. They're all quite old. So we are focusing on this area and then a couple other areas in Lower Town that are also quite old and we didn't get to last year. And then we also plan on doing inspections one more year, which is next year, and that will be all the pipes here in orange, as well as potentially some pipes up towards RMR. Going forward from that, we also are having repeat inspections starting in 2031, just to maintain inspections and get the pipes that will be older at that time. So yeah, if you have any other questions regarding these maps, please let me know.
Great, thank you, Ms. Bridge. So when we talk about the age of the, well, we didn't talk about the age of the pipes, but I'm going to ask the age of the pipes. So we're talking about, you mentioned Columbia Park, fairly old pipes, but you know, when we're talking age, are we talking 50 years, 25 years? What do you feel is that we need to make sure that we're maintaining them on a regular basis because of age?
Through your worship, if I might handle that one. So typically we can see in pipes that have been laid properly, in the community laid pipe properly many years ago. That's a hard word to say 3 times in a row. So 100 years is quite typical if it's done properly. We are seeing a lot of pipe in our community is up in that range already. What we're trying to do here is make sure that even if the pipe isn't reaching its end of design life, that we're dealing with this infiltration and inflow issue. So sometimes the pipes can separate, and so we can see the pipe sewage go into the ground, or vice versa, the groundwater come in. So part of the liquid waste management plan requires us to understand where we are as a community with all of our infrastructure asset management. And so this program is one of the tools that we use to manage our assets and determine where we need to focus energy. It also tells us, based upon a price per meter, how much money we need to allocate to ensure that we are managing these assets properly. So this is one of those tools.
Great. All right. Thank you for that. Any comments or questions, Councillor Palmer?
Yeah, I have a few. I have a few technical ones, so I wouldn't mind this coming up maybe at the infrastructure committee. So because but so specifically, so this in be in the 2023. So it's reflected in the 2023 budget.
Yes.
Under wastewater.
Under wastewater.
Yeah, and then from the map that we saw, the pink pipe, that's the ones that were in pink. That's the program for 2023, or is it?
So Avery, if you could put that back up, thank you. So we are focusing on Columbia Park, and these pipes that are most of the transmission, we can call them transmission, the bigger pipes that pump station to our lift stations, which then go to the POO plant. So this is the area that we're focusing on this year. We did and sorry for the members of the community that can't see me waving my hand in front of the picture. The area that we did last year, and then the area that we'll be doing next year is around Southside, and then the main two RMR.
Okay, so on the map that's on the screen right now,
Yes.
the pink is what's being done in
Yes.
2023.
Our
Okay.
focus is basically Columbia Park.
Yeah, so it's the pink. It's
Yes.
the pink, right? Okay. Which I can see, that's mostly Columbia Park, but there's some other pink in there. Yeah.
And some in Lordstown.
Okay, that's all my questions for now.
Okay. Any other questions on the motion on the table? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? No motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bridge.
Thank you.
Appreciate your presentation, and Mr. Black. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 11D, grant application for UBCM. Someone want to put that motion on the table for me, please? Councilor Lucian.
Thank you, Marshals. I move that a grant application for UBCM's 2023 Poverty Reduction Planning and Action Program be supported.
Seconder for the motion, please. Councilor Stapehurst. Mr. Attia, you are on screen. Do you have a brief presentation?
No presentation, but I can speak a few words to what the grant is intending and what services it's going to provide to the community.
You wouldn't mind, please.
So as you may recall, there were previous UBCM grants that provided housing services in the community. The UBCM Strengthening Community Services Grant was provided funding for an emergency shelter program that collected data that also highlighted challenges that renters are having in Revelstoke. So data collected through that gave us a perspective to create this program, and we modeled it similarly to get funding that provides services that fill a gap in the housing continuum by contracting a local nonprofit that's providing similar or complementary services. So the inability to find rental housing is really what we're targeting with the program. What kind of the rationale behind it is that we're working closely with the Housing Society and working closely to build housing in the upcoming CMHC grants. However, building will take a couple of years, so we need to fill in that time and try to support people who are going to be continuing to struggle with finding housing in the meantime. And so this funding will provide key supports to help people find and maintain their housing when, for a multitude of reasons, they may not be able to secure housing.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments from council? All right, seeing none, I will call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? Note, this is passed unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Attia. Appreciate your comments. Moving on to correspondence, Revelstoke Visual Arts Society is requesting for council representation. There's a letter in your package asking that a particular councillor be appointed, Councillor Cherry. So are you, Councillor, okay with that? And then I'm going to go to Councillor Palmer.
Hey, Your Worship, yes, I'd be honored and would love the opportunity to help out on the board.
Okay, Councillor Palmer.
I move that Councillor Matt Cherry be appointed as council representation to the Revelstoke Visual Arts Society.
Second for the motion, please, Councillor Devlin. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to correspondence from Wild Site. Someone want to put that motion on the table, Councillor Palmer?
I move that Wild Site Revelstoke letter regarding urban trees dated April 2nd, 2023 be referred to the Environmental Advisory Committee.
Second for the motion, please, Councillor Luciano. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Moving on to communications, strategic priorities chart. March 2023 final. Any comments from council regarding that? Mr. Parliament, any comment? Okay, seeing none. Councillor Pons?
I'll just make a comment. I'm actually really pleased that this is on here on a regular basis. I won't go into deep discussion right now, but I'm seeing that we're making some really good success on the now there. There's some that we need to move along on in Jordan River, Williamson Lake, organic removal notably was that interest to me.
Perfect. Thanks. Public Infrastructure Committee, sorry, Councillor Ronaldo, sorry.
Your worship, yeah, I just wanted to make a comment as well. I just wanted to say I appreciate seeing this on here. Also that for example, the mobile home resident protection policies on here, it was something that I was requested, and that's great. But my general comment is this. Usually the strategic priorities plan, council strategic priorities are really an opportunity for council at the start of the term to give direction to staff about where we want to go, and that's particularly political direction. So we're taking what we heard from the electorate, we're taking our ideas for what we need to do and seeing them reflected in action. And my compliment for staff is that I've observed council for a long time, been on council before, and I really think that one thing that I've seen that I'm very happy with is responsiveness to those concerns and issues that we have, and being able to channel that into a strategic priority framework, into a formal agenda where we're seeing these things through. I know that at the council table in my part, it can be frustrating when you feel like, the big issue is this, and then where are we doing? We're not doing it. So it's great to see this. And I just wanted to specifically on that one word responsiveness say that, it's really great to see that. And I'm quite happy with that. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Any other comments from council on that? Seeing none, a Public Infrastructure Committee meeting minutes. So Councillor Palmer, Councillor Lucio, comments.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of stuff other than noted that I think in general there's a sense of the usefulness of the committee. And so, for example, one of the usefulness is when I start to ask more details about our Cameron sewer lines. As it bogged down this meeting.
Right. Right. Councillor Luciano, any comment?
Nope, nothing to add on to that.
All right. Public Art Committee minutes. So, Councillor Devlin, is that yours? Councillor Cherry. There we go. Public Art Committee minutes. Do we have any public art you want to comment on?
Not at this time, Your Worship. I'll refer to it later.
Okay. Thank you for that. Ms. Russo, do we have any questions from the press?
Good afternoon, Your Worship. It's Janet De La Salle sitting in for Ms. Russo, and we do not have any questions from the press at this time.
All right. Thank you, Ms. De La Salle. Appreciate that. All right, Council, I would like someone to make a motion to go in camera pursuant to section 90.1 G and K of the Community Charter. Somebody want to make that motion for me? Councillor Stapener, seconded by Councillor Palmer. All in favor? Motion's carried. We'll take a 5-minute break and we'll come back in camera.